So we're 27th of September already. I've just chosen a card from the Law of Attraction cards, Abraham, and the card is "My manifesting thoughts are buffered by time." It's good that they are buffered by time, because imagine if we manifested everything instantly, it would be a little bit much, right? I would like for you to just introduce yourselves. If we could start with you, Chris. You're muted. If you could unmute. You there? You are unmuted, but for some reason we can't hear you. Maybe if you rejoin, if you end the call and then rejoin, it might work. We'll try that. Brenda, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Well, I'm an award-winning actress. My one-woman show is going on next month again, finally, since the world was shut down. And I teach storytelling, healing stories for entrepreneurs and performers, and I teach about the power of forgiveness. I have a Hero Forgiveness Award, and have spoken and taught, for women prisoners youth at risk, and I perform at theater festivals and all that stuff. I'm a coach and a digital course creator.
Amazing. Well, I look forward to hearing more about your work shortly. Carl, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, yes, it's Carl Preisler. I'm Irish, settled now in Spain, retired. I'm a trance medium, so I have certain guys that work with me and communicate through trance to you and people who come and see me or in public demonstrations, and do also trance healing in the same manner.
Amazing. And hopefully we can hear from your guide as well later.
Yes.
Okay, I'm excited about that. That's great. Thank you, Carl. Anna, good to see you.
Hello. My name is Anna Pavlakis. I'm originally from New York City, but also here in Spain, just up the road from Carl. And I'm a shamanic healer and a feng shui practitioner. And I work with my modality, integrated soul healing, which is something that I developed about 12 years ago. And yeah, it's always wonderful to be here and with all you beautiful people.
Great. Thank you, Anna. Chris, is your sound working? Yes.
Yeah, are we here? Okay. I'm Chris. I'm a recent Reiki master, although I've been practicing Reiki for 30 plus years. Been a healer for 40 years through soul retrieval, tarot readings, meditation groups, men's groups, circles, shamanic work. That's a bit about me.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maya, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, wonderful. Hello. My name is Maya Brexel. I practice hypnosis. I'm an occupational therapist, and also I practice hypnosis in the quantum field. And I do offer hypnosis to speak to your higher self in the quantum field. And my signature method in the field of hypnosis is the animal conversations, where I facilitate conversations, verbal conversations with animals, which can last an hour, 1.5 hours, where I have a proper conversation forth and back with animals to do healing and to do different kinds of things, and just ask how they are, and they get important messages they give to us. Very happy to be here, wonderful people.
Such a talented group of people. Amazing. Cool. Well, let's take a breath, and then I'll ask you, Chris, to guide us in a short opening meditation. Deep breath. Chris?
Just become aware of your feet as they connect deeply with the ground. Through your shoes, your footwear, through whatever floor you're standing on, the connection is always there. And just as you become aware of the soles of your feet, connecting with the soul of Mother Earth, as she begins to embrace us for this journey, for this next hour or so. And she's always present, keeping us safe. And it's our responsibility to open that door and invite her to be in our hearts and in our minds. And just gently become aware of where in your body you feel her love for you. And just allow that love to expand and grow stronger. And just be aware now of your love for Mother Earth and how you connect through that love. And gently allow this energy and connection to strengthen you, to heal what needs to be healed, to calm what needs to be calmed, and to infuse what needs to be infused. And also it's important to remember to let go of what needs to be let go of. The earth is always releasing and always welcoming. It's a continuum, a journey, and we're in the flow of that journey. Allow that connection, that flow to flow strongly through you right now. Feel it in every atom of your being. Allow it to support you and to be part of your journey and to be consciously aware of this part of your journey whenever you need to open those doors. And in this full awareness, open your eyes now and come back into this group. And remember you're flowing in harmony with everybody else here.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Chris. Just feeling that love from the Mother Earth really helped me. I'm feeling a little bit off center today. That really, really helped me. And the pains that I was feeling in my body have dissipated. Amazing, Mother Earth's power. Okay, I'm going to ask Brenda to speak and do her segment first, if that's okay with you. Is that okay with you, Brenda?
Oh.
Yeah? Okay, just one moment, I'd just like to read the other side of the card that I mentioned. My manifesting thoughts are buffered by time. I have my glasses now so I can actually see. Your Earth, speaking about the Earth again, is a nice environment for fine-tuning your knowledge. For here, your thoughts do not translate in instant equivalents. Your thoughts are governed by a buffer of time. If you were instantly manifesting, you would be spending more time trying to fix your mistakes than you would in creating what you want. It's quite a comforting thought. So we are master manifestors, but yet we have this protection of time built in to help serve us and slow us into being mindful about our thoughts and our manifestations, right? Hopefully. Okay, I'm excited to hear from you, Brenda, and about your work. Please tell us.
So excited to be here. I am so often in the entrepreneurial world, just leading a challenge today. So I'm like, run. And it's so nice to be steeped in spirit and to be here and kind of have a remembering of who I am by the reflection of all of you. It's really beautiful. I didn't mention, because in the entrepreneurial groups, I don't usually, I also have a master's degree in spiritual psychology and lived in Sedona, Arizona for several years. So let's see, I'm talking about forgiveness today. So that is the message of my show. What I'm going to do to start it, because I know we have a couple of minutes, is just do the 90 seconds that I share when I'm talking on interviews about my story, so you understand where it comes from. And then I'm going to give you my 3-step forgiveness system. So I grew up in Brooklyn with a Jewish wannabe Italian father who taught me how to drive a Cadillac when I was 6 and how to shoot a gun at 10. A bohemian artist mom who took me traveling with her all over the world and read Shakespeare to me from the time I was 3 years old as a bedtime story. Big characters, big laughs, big love. And then in 1995, my father, who I adored, I was definitely daddy's little girl, shot my mom in the head, killing her. Within months, moved in with and then married my aunt, my mother's sister. And for me, because my mother had read me Shakespeare, gave me solace knowing somewhere in history someone lived through something like I did. In Hamlet, his father is killed by his uncle, and then his uncle marries his mother. But Hamlet is about death and revenge, and everyone dies. And I didn't want my life to be that. So my one-woman show called My Brooklyn Hamlet, and my life's work has been about sharing how I was able to forgive the unforgivable, which was able to free myself by forgiving my father. So that's where my work comes from. I also have a book. It's why probably, I don't even know, I never knew there was a forgiveness award I could get, but I've done a lot of work with women prisoners, domestic violence coalitions, things like that. Maybe that was by synchronicity. I met the people at the Forgiveness Project in Hawaii. And then there's a Forgiveness Project in in London as well. And the founder saw my one-person show in London and also interviewed me for her book on forgiveness. So it is always my honor to be able to share. I will share my story everywhere for all of my days, because I know that someone in the audience needs to hear it, needs to know they're not alone, and needs to know it's possible to forgive. And for me, forgiving, I forgave my father, and I also took him to court for wrongful death. So it's mixed with setting healthy boundaries. I couldn't forgive him until I set a boundary. And for me, it was that, but it was not out of hatred and revenge. It was out of self-honor and self-love that I took him to court. And when I did, which probably was the hardest, most powerful decision I made in my life, I set the boundary I needed. He skipped town, disappeared. But I also did so much forgiveness and healing during that time, so that when he did die a couple of years later, I was free. I wasn't full of grief and, guilt and things like that. So I've helped clients on that. I've been coaching on forgiveness since 2005. And then I shifted to storytelling because I've had a lot of success with my show. I have a forgiveness ceremony in the show. And then I had people saying, but how do you tell your story? And so my process, the soul story method, is very much about finding the story, but healing from your story as you're sharing it, so that you're filled up, not feeling terrible. Especially it gets me all this buzz of tell your vulnerable story in your marketing. And then people have been, squashing that and compartmentalizing for many years because they don't know how to handle it. And so first time I put my show up, people would laugh, people would cry. I was already an actress, but I'd go home and be absolutely miserable. And I don't want that for people. So that's why I also teach the storytelling aspect of it. So yes, tell your story, tell your vulnerable story, but as a vehicle to heal yourself to the core of your being, so that you also share the right emotions with other people and activate your audience. So specifically around my forgiveness process, what happened was there was a minister at Unity Church who knew my work because I had done my one-person show, and I was a trained prayer chaplain there. And he said, you know, you should do a workshop on forgiveness because your show opens people up, but then they don't know what to do. And so I started leading workshops, and then people, you know, wanted to know the process. So I went back and I said, well, why did I lose 6 years to really bad depression? Oh, for me, and this is part of the first step is moving out of denial and into acceptance of what is. I didn't want to believe my father did it. My psyche could not handle the loss of my whole family in that one night. But it was moving out of that denial and actually into what happened that allowed me to start looking at myself and my pain and what was happening for me. I had to get clear that he did do this. And a lot of people, like many people, haven't gone through murder, but a lot of people have had, you know, partners who have cheated, or someone who's on medication or taking drugs and they're in denial. So my first process is about that. And so the thing that was missing for me to move to the next step was my anger released in a healthy way. I could not get in touch with my anger, or we're in a society that's like, you must forgive. But then what do you do with all this rage? And people, I find, either lash out or they lash in. For me, I would say I lashed in. For me, that could mean any kind of addiction. For me, it was overeating, over exercising. So I'd overeat and I get mad at myself for gaining weight. So I beat myself up about that instead of really looking at the issue, which is my father killed my mother. And there was a lot of shame. I wasn't really witnessing my process. I went for my 2-year master's in spiritual psychology, and I tapped the surface of my anger, especially with women, so ingrained to not be angry and not speak out. And, you know, my father was my authority and stuff like that. So I then, after I graduated, I took a couple of courses at Agape, with Michael Beckwith, and found Before the Secret. So he was actually available to teach me. I was on a panel with him years later at a conference, but which was this moment of like, wow, we're all really just the same, just learning and doing what we're here to do. But it was in his foundations class that I really got that my father and I were one, and that if I hated a part of him, I hated a part of myself. But I still had to face the anger in a real way. So I took a primal scream workshop. Then I did all kinds of, writing from my master's program, and finally really got the anger out. And when I did, I was able to heal. I was able to release the extra weight. I was able to attract love into my life. I was no longer hiding. I say I was lashing in, but of course, victim bully is all, it's all two sides of the same coin, right? So I was shutting myself down to people as well, which could hurt other people and hurt myself. And so that was the healthy release of anger was really important. And in that stage, step one, it's also about embracing the victim. So many of us, don't want to be a victim so badly that we are a victim. So when I didn't want to be a victim, my victim was leaking out, my anger was leaking out to people who didn't deserve it. So in step one, it was really writing and doing freeform writing. It's not the same as journaling because you're not ever reading it over, you're releasing. And many of you may know about this stuff, but I am fucking angry and blah, 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 and this is what happened to me and blah, 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 like really getting it out, not just a little, but getting it out. Writing my show for me was very cathartic, because also moving into step two is giving up the need to be right. So step one is embracing being a victim also. And the second one is giving up your need to be right. So in playing the characters of my life, playing my father, as a good actress never plays yourself as a victim, or character as a victim. So I had to look at him as a well-rounded character, like a man with dreams that were not reached and mental illness and things like that. So it let me have some compassion for him. And so that is with the step number two, giving up your need to be right, was looking at him as a child, and when he was not the person who did this thing, having compassion, remembering the love that I felt from him, realizing he was a narcissist, sociopath, but not knowing that at the time and not dismissing the love I felt from him before. And then step 3 would be getting the lessons. I used to say it was great being grateful for what is, but I feel like that does a disservice to, I've worked with hundreds of clients and I know what people go through. People have been tortured, they've been raped as children, like there's so much stuff. So I wouldn't say ever gratitude for that, but for the lessons and the resilience. So for me, the resilience I know I have from being able to lose my family in one night and then build my family, build my life, not, diving into the shame and the guilt and all that so I can love myself fully and attract people into my life who also love themselves. So that is my 3-step process, but I would, love to, I know it's my first time here, so I don't know how it runs, but I'd love to, maybe take any questions you have or anything you want to share or, a comment. I'll say one other thing is that I do have a free course, the 5 top reasons to never forgive and why you must. And I also have a book on Kindle that's, I think it's like $2.99. I've not raised it. So that has it's a memoir and it's the 3-step forgiveness process that has, like the story of why I would do this exercise there.
I just want to say how much I've resonated with everything that you said, and it's really deeply touched me. And I'm just kind of reeling from the divine synchronicity of you being here and how it was that you came to be here. It was like very, very strange, actually.
I don't even remember where we met, but I was just like, great, that's great. Isn't it all about synchronicity?
Absolutely. Yeah. And strangely, there was supposed to be somebody coming on this evening to talk about their experiences with synchronicity, and I checked in with them twice and they haven't turned up. And the main guest hasn't turned up, so it's perfect.
Yes, and we kind of didn't confirm, I don't think, but I just was like, I think this is a Zoom, I'm here.
Awesome.
Do you want to share anything about that? About the synchronicity for you, or why it's touching you right now?
Well, I'll just say that I have a very, very difficult situation with my mother, who I very much need to forgive and haven't been able to. And she's a narcissist, and I'm probably undiagnosed schizophrenic. She lives above me and she hates me. And we have a very traumatic ongoing battle, and I'm evil for her. So everything that you shared just went, wow, really woke me up, and thank you.
Great. And boundary setting, that's like the most important when you have a toxic parent.
Yes, learning that one. Thank you so much. Anybody else want to share?
Yeah, I just I think thank you so much for sharing that story. It's been so powerful. What I think resonated very strongly with me is the need to acknowledge and accept and give an outlet to the anger, but in the appropriate way. Because I think anything like that, if you just try and repress it, it just festers inside. And I think from my own experience, the things that I've always found best was, looking whatever it is in the face and allowing it to generate those feelings, but express those feelings in a healthy, safe way so that you can get them out of your system, basically, and then you can start to move forward. So I think, to be able to navigate that for such a charged, story, and to be able to help others find the way to navigate it for themselves, that's a huge gift. And thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
I had this month a session, an amazing session, and I had to set boundaries twice this month. And I was able to set them in a very beautiful way. And one was even asking a person to leave my house. And I did that also in a very calm way, because it was presented to me that there was no other chance than do that. And it is very important. I'm very proud of myself that this month I could have set 2 boundaries I would not have done or be able to before. So all the process, all the work really showed up in a beautiful opportunities also to prove myself to myself that I have done the work and that it worked on me and in me. So no matter the consequences, I had to do that. And it's very happy and healthy. It's very healthy, and I'm very happy that I could set these boundaries. Was I not before able to?
Beautiful. Yeah, I talk a lot about hard boundaries versus healthy boundaries, because oftentimes, you know, when we first have to set a boundary, especially if we don't know how to with someone who's like, you know, not respecting our space, not respecting our wishes, not respecting our values, oftentimes it's like cut them out, which of course is sometimes a necessary first step, but then it turns back on us, because wherever we've shut our heart down to someone, we shut it down to ourselves. So that's really key, like being able to make these boundaries from a place of self-love, even if stuff comes up after, because it's a journey, you know what I'm saying? So it's like you set the boundary and it's all calm, and then after you get pissed again, it's like a lot of people, I think, sometimes get mad at themselves, instead of like, that's an opportunity for more self-love. Just keep applying loving to those parts inside that hurt as you continue to grow. Yeah, that's great. Congratulations. It's hard. At some point, it gets harder to not be true to ourselves. So.
I just like to recognize the alchemical process that you've done. You know, you've turned your trauma and your pain into alchemy, and used that to not only heal yourself but to heal others. It's incredible.
Thank you. Definitely feels like it. My show was channeled. Everything. I had this moment when I was on stage, especially when I started writing Shakespeare. So it's a very Brooklyn story with about 5 soliloquies from Hamlet for when the emotions are too much, where if I was a singer, I would sing, but because I'm not a singer, people would run out of the theater. So instead, though, I had this moment where I'm like, oh, I learned Shakespeare. My mom taught me Shakespeare. I know about Hamlet. Oh, I can put this into my show. And then it's like, oh, I've been an actress and I'm in a class that's asking, you know, to do a personal monologue. Like, all of a sudden I was like, oh, my life has prepared me for this. It's pretty amazing. And it did feel like the writing was channeled. Thank you. Thank you for that acknowledgement.
Absolutely. I want to invite you back.
Oh, can I say something?
Please, Anna. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I really want to thank you for sharing that story. Like Carl said, it is so powerful, and it resonated with me. I mean, I didn't have a murder, but I had a very, very traumatic experience in my very early childhood that I don't fully remember. So it's kind of interesting when you were talking about like getting in touch with the anger. Like, how do you get in touch with the anger when you don't necessarily remember? It's been an interesting journey for me that I'm still on.
Yeah. I have a few suggestions actually for that. It's the same thing, because I work with writers and they don't remember certain stories. It's really working with your innocence and working with your heart. Some of it could be like inner child work, where you don't go for the anger, you go for loving and giving your inner child a voice. So one thing that they would have us do in my master's program was so important was a 30-day process with our inner child. So it was literally like calling in our inner child. If you know the age stage, you might even get a picture of yourself at that age, or a ball for a guy. I know it's so traditional, but like a sports thing or a doll, whatever, that reminds you of childhood. And then asking your inner child, what she has to say every single day, though, because you're creating the relationship with your inner child, that trust. So if you forget one day, then go back to another 30 days or whatever. You can set out to do it for 7 days, right? Because you don't want to ever disappoint yourself. You don't want to beat yourself up if you forget, but you just continue. But I like to do this. I like to offer it in this easy way so that people do it. So you ask her right before you go to bed if there's something she has to say to you. And at first she might be angry, and not want to talk to you. And that's where you bring your inner guide in. It's not you at this age that could get upset or be beaten up or anything like that. It's your inner guide that's just there to love and honor her, and just make her feel safe. And then, it's your inner guide, not your ego, because the kind of things you would say back is, it's okay, I love you, right? That inner child just wants to be witnessed that thing happened to. And that's where the opening takes place. Another way to and give thanks for her for coming out, or even if she's not speaking yet, or if she's angry, it's it's okay, I just love you. Just we're the maternal force for that child that didn't have that back then. And then another way would be non-dominant handwriting. So with your dominant hands, if you're a writer, a righty, you would say, I want to find out what's behind this anger or this memory, and then just let your left hand just write it. It's usually a younger age stage. You might not even be able to read it, which is good, because you never want anger and pain and stuff like that. And then you can keep prompting it with your right hand if that's your dominant hand, until you get an answer. And be patient, because what if it takes a little time? It's been repressed for a long time. And there's also the other thing of bedtime intentions, because sometimes we don't even have to remember something. You could set a bedtime intention at night, except it sounds like you want to, so that that's okay, go with that. But you could set a bedtime intention to ask your subconscious to resolve whatever anger is within you from that time, and that you only remember what you need to when you wake up in the morning, and that you have a restful night's sleep. That's a beautiful thing.
I love the thing with the writing. I've done some work similar to the first part that you said, with the modality called EQ. It's Norwegian, but I did it with this, and it was very, very interesting. Thank you. And by the way, I would love to see your show. It sounds amazing.
So two things. It's going to be in Los Angeles on October 18th, but I do have a virtual show that I sell tickets to for $20. It was filmed by 2 theaters in San Diego during the pandemic. So
wow.
Are you on Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's reach out, and I can.
It sounds amazing.
Thank you. And I'd love to come to Spain and do
it.
Yes,
I was just thinking that.
I might make that happen.
Yeah,
I've traveled to 4 countries, so
I have a feeling that could be successful.
That'd be incredible. It's definitely top. Thank you.
I would like to add something. I met a lady, she was working on her inner child, and she actually chose on Amazon a doll which looked similar to her. And she really had this doll with her, and she spends cuddling time and loving time and talking to the doll as if she is the child. So that gives the whole a little bit more of a vivid reality. So I just wanted to share.
I love that so much. I'll offer that to clients. I love it. Right, because how many of us didn't grow up in a household where my mother was very, very loving, I will point that out, and my father was loving like he could be, but I know, sometimes I feel like I've done as well as I have because I've had that love when I was young, because there are clients that have not had murder, had things but they didn't have that innate, just feeling of being loved when they were kids. So I love that idea of just if you didn't get that when you're a child, or even if you did, but you need more, just embrace that part of you. Yeah, I love that.
Brenda, I want to ask you if you would be interested in coming back as a main guest in the future.
I would love to.
We would love to have you. Thank you so much.
I don't know what that means, being the main guest, but yes, I would love to.
It means that you'll have a longer time to share more of your story and whatever processes that you work with.
Great, I'd love to have it be experiential and could lead people through some of this.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And can you please share your website?
Yes, well, my main website is is forgivenessandfreedom.com. Which is
forgivenessandfreedom.com. That's
freedom.com. I'm on Facebook. That is my social media drug of choice. I have a Facebook group called Unforgettable Speaker Society. And I do also have a forgiveness program that I'm just finishing up a live version called Phoenix Rising. It's 30 lessons on forgiveness. So I'll probably be offering that again in about another month live, because that was something I was just doing digitally, but I just feel like I want to be with people. Like, I don't know what the pandemic did with you guys, but I'm like, I want to be more with people, and I want to witness the breakthroughs and hold the energy instead of just like the business thing, just sell your courses. I'm like so done. I'm done with that. So I'll be doing another live version. I just finished up this second.
awesome. Thank you. I feel that there's so much there to delve into, so much more to share and to learn, and it's going to be an exciting journey, I think. Wow. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for being here. It's great to meet you.
Yeah, I'd like to say I can stay till 12, my time 12, so that's like another 22 minutes.
Okay, great. Well,
I had to go at a challenge this week, so I have a lot of content now. Yeah.
I'd like to ask Chris a question, if I may. I just noticed, among some of the work that you do soul retrieval. Would you mind just telling us a little bit more about what soul retrieval is?
Okay. Yeah. Basically, there's aspects of our soul that's been traumatized from different lifetimes. I use the terminology past lives quite often. It could be future lives, parallel lives, extraterrestrial lives. It's within the reality of the people that I work with. And what I tend to do is I get the person that I'm working with to take the journey themselves and to call in those aspects of themselves that was traumatized. So it's a very, very powerful but very, very gentle way of healing a trauma very, very quickly, but also possibly healing the physical body as well as the mind and the spirit. So I like working one-to-one. I very rarely work remotely on this, although sometimes I can do. My spirit guides and guardians and shamans from all different realms of being come and help and support wherever they're needed. Everything is channeled. The work that I do, there is a format. Sometimes I work with it, sometimes I don't, as in the meditations here. It's always ad hoc. It just comes and it flows, and it's what's meant to be on the time at the time. So this is where I work with people. So yeah, it's beautiful work. It's healing, but there is a massive commitment to it. So it's not just a bit of a one-trick pony. People need to commit.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. In just a moment, I'm going to ask Maya to do her segment, if that's okay with you, Maya. But before we do, I just there's another element to your work, Chris, which you mentioned in the past, but I can't remember the name of the modality that you use. Could you just tell us a little bit more about the other types of healing work that you do?
Oh, right. Okay. I initially started out with Reiki. I worked in a hospital when I was about 18 as an auxiliary, and I used to, one of the jobs we had was to feed people. So lunchtime we had to stop everything, feed people. So one of my patients, I literally put my hand on his back to feed him. And one day he turned around and said, "Chris, you've got the gift of healing." And I didn't know what it was, hadn't got a clue. And he just said, "The only time I'm lucid is when you put your hand on my back." And I just thought, oh, okay. And then about 8 years later, I came across Reiki. Then I trained in massage. I worked in London and trained in London. And then counseling skills or the psychic skills opened up. So I do tarot, NLP, hypnotherapy, timeline therapy, past life regression, whatever people need, the tools seem to be there and they seem to be channeled or fit in at the time.
So you have quite a big bag of tools
Big
there.
bag of tricks, yeah. And the thing is, it's I could call myself a hypnotherapist and it's all master level, but that's completely irrelevant to the journey the person needs.
Great.
So we literally start fresh with every person that I work with. It's a fresh journey.
Thank you. Right. Well, hopefully, one of these days we can also have you as the main guest and for you to share more of the work that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. And thank you for sharing. Maya, I would like to come to you now and ask you to share some of your work, particularly the quantum hypnosis, which I'm really fascinated about.
Yes. Can everyone hear me okay? Because this is a new set of thingy. Okay,
Yes.
wonderful. Yes, I practice hypnosis and I'm also a hypnotherapist, occupational therapist, where I don't like the therapist part because then it shows the people are sick. They are not my patients, they're my clients. These people are not sick or ill, but implementing the word therapist, it's in their brains. You're sick, you go to therapy. Yes, you heal in therapy, but they're my clients, they're my people, not my patients. So in the quantum hypnosis or the work in the quantum field is very beautiful because it allows me to go through complete different ways. If it is either that I can facilitate a hypnosis where you can speak to your higher self. Who knows more than about yourself than your higher self? So now you're given the opportunity to ask questions to your higher self. So, and while I place you in a beautiful, deep hypnotic state, I will have a conversation with your higher self. So you can now get all the answers you want to know. What's the best to read today? What's the right now? Because everything is right now, right? For our development right now, what we need, where we have to go, what we have to do that we heal ourselves, because this is a pathway till the end of our life. We develop till the end of our life. There is no ending. And one time it's this method, one time it's this method. Every method is good for a moment in your life, one time. Okay, and it's what you need right now. And we have been driven to that. We have been called to that. We are going in alignment, that we come together at a certain place and a certain time. Okay, so it is very important, and I'm having the skills to do so, and it makes me deeply happy. And I have to say, I didn't know what to do in the beginning with that because I'm so 3D. I worked in clinics, and now to be able to say I'm working with the quantum field is something for me, but it is my reality. And then to say that I do speak to dead people, that is my reality. I spoke to a liver a few weeks ago. That's my reality, right? To say that by myself is something, but it is a reality which is existing. I cannot make it go away, and I love it. And I had a lady, she wanted to talk to her cats. She took cats from the street because she had to go to France, put them in a shelter. And these cats, they didn't come out of the basket. And the shelter kept calling her, kept informing her, your cat is still sitting there. So she called me and she says, Maya, I want a session because I'm feeling guilty. Okay, I want to talk to the animal. After that, she got a video that the animals came out of the basket. That moment we were talking about. So I took her in and I couldn't connect her and I couldn't connect her. And then it came into my mind, guilt. There was a lady, I was in Germany. When I travel, it doesn't matter. Aeroplanes, you don't stop me from hypnotizing people. And there was this lady, she talked about her horse. She was crying every single time for weeks and weeks. And she put the horse in an open stable. The horse broke a leg and they had to make the horse go away. Okay, they had to kill the horse. She had such a bad conscience that in the hypnosis, I could not connect to the horse, her, because of the bad conscience. So I had to channel the horse. And it was the same here. And it came up, guilt. Guilt is not, they don't want to connect to the animal straight away because they feel so guilty that I have to channel the animal then through me. And then I talk my words and then I channel the animal. It's a complete different way. But it doesn't matter. This lady was so happy coming out of the hypnosis, feeling so relieved. And no matter what is right now, if it's the shamanic way, if it's the Reiki way, if it's whatever, if it's forgiveness, if it's to be able to speak to a guide, it doesn't matter. What is right now important for us. And I'm really happy that I can do this and I step more into my own power in that. Because it is still, when I talked to my mom and said I spoke to a liver, she said, yeah. So it is a bit, but we actually, she could see the liver. She was explaining to me the liver of the dog, which had spots on. So I could ask the liver, and the liver was also, there were emotions like sadness and guilt. The dog was picking up from the owner and was manifesting in the liver of the animal, and we could release that. I mean, does it matter how it works? No. It works, right? Whatever we do is energy shifting, it works. And that is the most important point. And with this quantum hypnosis, it's opened me a wide field. If I talk to living people who are in Madrid or in America, I still talk to them. If I speak to dead people or to dead animals and take away from their last death, whatever fear we have, because the death we live is actually the most traumatic. And with this, we take a lot of emotions into our next life, especially from the death. Okay, so and if we then are able to heal before the next incarnation, so these emotions, feelings, and sensations are not there anymore. How beautiful for the next incarnation. And that person meets us at the right time of their life, so that we, whatever we do in our work, can help them for the next step in whatever way they ever need it. Yeah, and with my quantum hypnosis, it is very beautiful. And before I was self-amazed of what is possible. And it's really a wide range. And I have to admit, I'm on Tinder. Really? Yes, I am. And there was a man, he's actually by the Metropolitan Police, and he was working at Interpol and with cold cases. And it was also my wish to offer that. And I asked him, I met him, they said, yes, we did work with hypnotherapists to ask witnesses for more information. They did it twice. And I said to him, listen, you worked on the cold cases. I would like to work with that and find out with using the quantum field hypnosis to find out if we can find out more about these things. What happened, maybe even who is the murderer. But then it's an interesting question right there. Is this actually the soul path of then, if we would identify the murder, just say, would it be then the soul path of him that we detected it or not? Are we messing, so to say, with the soul contract he has or not? I found this a very interesting question to ask. So, and this quantum hypnosis gives out so much space, so much possibilities, so much, possibilities, opportunities. And that is what I do. And I really love it.
Can I ask you a question about the word quantum?
Yes.
I think that many people have different ideas about what that means, but how would you describe what that means?
It's all behind what I always, what I like to say, not get with your five senses, but I, for example, I see music in colors or something. And we can also smell things or feel presence of others. And we have more than just five senses. Just you know that your position in a room you're standing in is another sense right there. So I like to say actually what you can and cannot include it, feel, experience with your own senses, and everything what is behind the veil, yeah, everything what you cannot touch in the sense, what is not materialized in the material which you can touch, see, it's still there. So everything behind that and behind the realm.
Wow, thank you. Okay, interesting. And you know what you said about the finding of the murderer using that field. That's really interesting. Yeah.
And interesting. I wanted to do this with a friend of mine. And there is a very famous case in England where a person, he is a very trained soldier, but he had an alcoholic problem. And he was known to sleep in dumpsters, you know, the rubbish dumpsters. And one day he disappeared. And as I understood, they get crushed the rubbish and they throw him in the landfill. And they were searching the landfill for that person, but they couldn't find him. It was interesting that he knew about the case and I knew about the case. And I can just, he is a bit weary of that, of the quantum field hypnosis. And I still would be liking to do that.
I know that in a lot of you know, criminal cases, they have used psychics in the past. But like, for instance, in the case of the missing little girl, Maddie, who's been in the papers for many years, you know, I've always thought, why can't they consult more psychics to find out exactly where she is and, you know, what happened to her, and, you know, let that poor soul rest if she's passed on, or if she's alive. You know, why don't more psychics work in that field? Perhaps they do, and we just don't know about it.
That could also be, and it is not, you know, hypnotherapy, occupational therapy. I have a title. Okay, you get a proper title. Hypnotherapy, you don't. It's just everyone can do it. If you are a baker or a car repairman or a hairdresser, you can become a hypnotherapist. It could be that, and the value you get, you will not be able to hold it in court. And that is that whatever information they get out of it, it's not holding on in court. So they cannot actually use it. It could be actually be used exactly for the opposite, that then the opposite people, you know, the opposite lawyer or whatever, can take that to the disadvantage and can mix it. And that was a very interesting information I got from this policeman. Yeah. So it is there and they're using it, but they can't use it because it doesn't hold. A pathologist, you know, it's a title you hold that holds in front of the court, but the hypnotherapist or the psychic doesn't hold. So it could be actually more negative than positive. Interesting fact, right?
Yeah, I suppose the results are what matters, really. You know, if the work finds the solution to the problem, then that's really what matters, as to not as much as, you know, whether that evidence is permissible. I mean, if you find the missing person or the you know, resolve the murder, then you understand.
Then, when you get asked how did you get the connection, you have to say through that way. You cannot say, oh, it just came to me in a dream or something. You know, you have to be really honest.
It's time for certain laws to change, and I think it's only through the implementation of that type of work that perhaps it will at some point. But we're very behind in both the medical fields and, you know, criminal fields, and so many fields. You know, they can use stem cells to regenerate a whole human being, but yet medicine is not using that, you know, technology. Welcome, Syra, that's joined us. Thank you for telling me that you were going to be late. I don't know if you can hear us or not because your camera is off and your sound is off, but I just wanted to acknowledge your presence here. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Maya or comments?
Oh, not all in one. One by one.
I just think it's so fascinating. What everybody does is so fascinating. It's been so long for me to actually be in a group like this where you guys speak my language. It was interesting what you said, Maya, about how like your mother, you know, thinks it's crazy. You know, we all have a family member who's like, what, you do that? You know, my brother, I'm sure, thinks I am the most woo-woo person around. So it's so important to just, you know, be in groups like this where this is the norm. The other stuff really isn't, at least it's not for me, you know. I thought that was interesting about like if we interrupt with a process or something, but I don't know, would it then not, it wouldn't be an interruption because everything is as it is, right? So that's the interesting like debate or something.
Yeah, because everything then came together. Why am I meeting this man? Why is it my dream for 1.5 years now to do that, to make an investigative hypnosis using the quantum field? Yes, it's still a tricky point. It's very interesting, right? Yes.
So thank you.
And I'm very happy that I'm in a group like this, and I'm very happy that I have a friend who's a bit angry on me now, and maybe she will come around and be my friend again, because it's very important just to be able to, you know, to speak freely about these things and say things like energy and frequency and quantum field, and we all go like, yep, exactly, that is what I'm talking about. That's my reality in my life, because it's our reality.
Yeah, you know, one of the things, like I say, my brother and I handled everything so differently, and he thinks what I do is nuts, but he knows I have a successful one-person show, and so even though we can't talk about anything, he actually produced a very big Jewish theater festival and conference in Vienna, Austria several years ago, and he invited me to do my show, and I was able to like tell my story in all of it with him in the audience. It was so incredible because healing took place. Like, that's what I love about art, whether it's music, like it's like a way not to be preachy and be like, and this is what I believe, you know. It's so I love that we can reach people by just being who we are and knowing the right people get it at the right time if they're supposed to.
Yeah.
Great, like talking to the liver, all that, I'm like, of course, you know, of course, you know, that's great. And I have a feeling in my entrepreneurial groups, they'd be like, huh, what? Yeah, thank you. I have to leave very soon, but thank you so much, everybody. And I friended who I had names for.
Great, thank you. Thank you for joining us, Brenda. Thank you, Maya, for sharing.
Thank you, Alexis.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a real pleasure to be here with you all. Anna, I want to ask you, are you happy to go next? Is it okay with you, Carl, to go after Anna? Yeah?
Yeah, that's fine. Sure.
Cool. Okay. Well,
so how much time do I have?
You have 10 minutes.
10 minutes, okay. More than enough. I think. So I've been talking about the 7 rays of God over the last several months. For those of you who haven't been here every week, we're now this week going to talk about the 6th ray, but I just want to, the 7 rays, just to recap, are archetypes of energy that we carry within us. And we have all of them, but some of them are more predominant in us, and different planets are in different rays, and so on and so forth. I'm not going to get into the whole thing of it right now because it's actually very, very complicated. So we talked about the first ray already, which is the ray of will and power. The second ray is the ray of love and wisdom. The third ray is the ray of active intelligence. The 4th ray is the ray of harmony through conflict. The 5th ray is the ray of concrete science and mind. And so what we're going to talk about today is the 6th ray, which is a very interesting ray for a lot of different reasons. It's the ray of devotion. Devotion and idealism. So this is the ray that really came into play in the world around the time of Jesus.
May I ask the color?
Yes, it is indigo.
Thank you.
Okay. And it's the ray that is connected with religion, okay, gurus, devotion to a religion or something that's very structured, okay, not like go on your own path, okay. So a person on this ray is somebody who's going to be possibly a fanatic, full of religious fervor, but it can be taken to the extreme. And they tend to see things very much in black and white. So everything is either perfect or it's intolerable. Okay, so it can be a ray of a lot of extremes. However, it is the ray that got the people on the planet out of the more 3D world, you could say, right? And so that could be considered a good thing. So a person who's on the 3 ray has to have a deity or someone to worship, okay? To adore, to devote themselves to. It's the ray of devotion, so they need something to adore. If you are in the higher aspect of this ray, you're a saint, okay? If you're on the lower aspect, you are like these crazy fanatic people, or a bigot, okay? The fundamentalist Christians that, we have seen are absolutely connected to this ray. And all of the religious wars, all of the crusades, all of that stuff have originated from this ray. I don't want to say that it's there's no such thing as a bad ray, okay? Everyone has its positive sides and negative sides, which is, just the nature of duality. So a person on this ray can be very gentle, very, very gentle, but then can very quickly move into intense wrathfulness. Okay. The indignation and so on. A person on this ray can often embody the martyrdom, the martyr archetype. So they might give up their life for something, for their ideals. If someone who is a soldier is on this ray, they would hate the fighting unless it were for a great cause that they believed in, okay? And then, there would be no stopping them. So I actually, when I think of like the King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, I think that's maybe the higher aspect of a soldier who would be on this ray. Great preachers and orators are often on this ray. So, and if they're going to be writing, they're going to be writing religious texts and so on and so forth. They're not going to be doing things flowery and so on and so forth. And this part, I think, is extremely interesting. The 6th ray is actually moving out of incarnation at this time. Okay, the planet is evolving. So the highest manifestation of this ray was Jesus. Okay, he was the highest manifestation of this ray. And the energy of this ray was needed and made available to the planet at this time to push the planet in higher in its evolution, okay, and to also open the heart, because Jesus, of course, was all about being from the heart. And so it helped humanity to take its next step, you could say. However, because of the stage we're at in our planetary evolution and our evolution of consciousness, we've matured past this ray. Okay, we don't need it anymore. So fewer and fewer people are being incarnated on this ray as one of their principal rays. The seventh ray is replacing it, and we'll talk about that the next time. So the positive side of the sixth ray is focusing on humanity, devoting yourself to God, becoming obedient to God and God's laws. I mean, if you might not think of that as positive, but it could be. And it helps humanity get out of the that old pattern that it was stuck in. So amazing, powerful ray. But now that we're moving out of it, we've like completed its the need for its service. We don't need it anymore. So churches today are utilizing the energy of this ray. Okay. So it's not the ray of the new age. It's not the ray of you are your own guru, right? It's not the ray of your own self, your personal spiritual path. That's why it's now really necessary. So if you devote yourself to a guru or a teacher or some kind of master, then you're still sort of stuck in that sixth ray energy. So other examples of people who were on that were John Calvin. He was on the sixth ray, and he was very, and Meister Eckhart was as well, and St. Francis. So St. Francis apparently, what I read, has a sixth ray soul, a sixth ray mind, and a sixth ray personality. So he was really coming from that energy. So the special virtues of the sixth ray are devotion, single-mindedness, love, tenderness, intuition, loyalty, and reverence. The vices, for lack of a better word, are selfishness and jealous love. And what is that? My God is a jealous God, right? I think of that quote. Over-dependence on others, right? So if you think about how religions tend to make you dependent rather than, independent and in your power. Partiality and self-deception, sectarianism, superstition, prejudice, and coming to conclusions too quickly, and also fiery anger. If you think of the preachers screaming about hellfire and brimstone, that's the negative aspect of it. So the six rays virtues that need to be cultivated are strength, self-sacrifice without martyrdom necessarily, purity, truth, tolerance, serenity, balance, and common sense. So I think it's a really, really interesting ray, and I think it's fascinating to see how our planet is coming out of that energy now. It's the new age, right? So we've evolved out of it, and that's the thing, we evolve out of different energies, right, into this new energy. So yeah, that's my little bit on the sixth ray.
Thank you, Emma.
You're welcome.
When you speak about the rays, I try and relate them to chakras, and also I know that they're not chakras.
No.
But you mentioned it being akin to the energy of Christ, the sixth ray, and you mentioned the color indigo. And when I think of indigo, I think of the third eye, and of course, the third eye is also called the Christ Center.
Yes.
It's an interesting link.
However, it's not the chakra that it's associated with. The chakra that it's because they are associated with different chakras.
Right.
This one is actually related to the solar plexus.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would have to dive deeper into the study of this to really understand why that is. I mean, I did a long time ago, but I forgot.
Just a very quick question. I know. Try to keep the answer short if you can, and then I'll hand over to Carl. But my question is, how can we use the knowledge of the rays in our daily life in a practical way?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you remember, but when I was talking about the first ray, the ray of will and power, I mentioned that you can call that in when you need that drive, that woof, to get you going. Okay. So you could do that, but not to let it keep running within you, because then you can become very aggressive. The second ray, right, the ray of love and wisdom, tempers the first ray. So that's a good one to call into to balance the other. Okay. So, and the third ray is a good one to call in when you need to kind of like get things done and so on. Yeah. So because each of them are associated with different qualities. And if you like after I've gone through the 7, maybe I was thinking I could do in my segment like some kind of guided meditation or something like that with these, or some sort of experiential thing
to integrate them into our being. That's a good idea.
something, but I would have to think about how to do that properly so that
Great. Yeah, there was something that came to me. It's temporarily escaped, but hopefully it will come. Yeah, there it is. It reminded me of what you just said. Reminded me of you know how when you have a crystal, or if you think of a person like Einstein or whoever, you know, like a famous actor or actress, that you can connect with the energy of the crystal, just telepathically, or you can connect with the energy of Einstein or whoever it is, you know, Margot Fontaine or whatever, you know, just by thinking of them and bringing that energy into your being in a sort of telepathic link, maybe through the quantum field, I don't know. Similarly, you know, bringing the ray in by thinking of it and drawing qualities.
Yeah, you just have to intend.
Yeah, right, got you.
You just have to intend. But there are certain rays like I wouldn't bring in. For the 4th, remember that was like this kind of chaotic one.
Right.
Yeah. So that it's like I said, it's a huge subject of study, and I'm just giving like a tiny little synopsis of each one. You could spend hours and hours and weeks and months on them.
Well, we're going to have to move on just because of time, but thank you so much. That was fascinating. That was great.
You're welcome.
Carl, would it be okay to, when you've brought in Catalan, for me to continue with the questions that I wrote? Yes?
Yes, I think it's a very good approach. I'm just smiling because you asked so nicely. You don't have to be so, you don't have to worry about it. It's absolutely fine. Yes, it's good. It's a good way to do it.
Okay, great. All right. Thank you again, Anna. Okay, well, Carl,
okay,
preparing. I'll just find the questions.
Okay. Yes, now we're here. Okay, Katarang here.
Hello, Catalan. How are you?
So nice to connect with you all again. I feel the stronger heart connection in this session with all of you. Yes, it is so honored to be re-invited and to share what little I know about some of these topics with you all. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. So I have some questions. We have approximately 10 minutes together, and one of my questions is, what do you do in the other realms? How do you spend your time?
Okay. Good question. I don't think about it myself very much. How do I explain? here we do not have the same concept of time, of passing of time. So we exist in a state of unity, in a state of oneness. We are merging our minds to accomplish certain tasks. How do I describe it? It is very difficult to describe because we do not have the same parameters by which we can measure certain things. But it is like, maybe we could say we are multitasking all the time. So all the time we are participating in many different energetic activities because we are not constricted by a three-dimensional physical realm, and because we vibrate at many different frequencies, just as you have, in your energy body, your chakras are vibrating at different frequencies. So different aspects of our being can vibrate at different frequencies, and this brings different aspects of our, I guess you could say, soul self can connect with like-minded, similar vibration intelligences. So they may be souls such as ourselves, they may be from other dimensions, and through our merging of energies, we may be helping to repair some damage for certain physical or three-dimensional worlds where we are through mind melding, sending special healing constructive vibrations to that realm whereby we can help to facilitate recovery of damaged planets, you could say. Also, we can be connecting with the, the pedagogic aspect of certain intelligences to share our experiences from our own recollections of lifetimes as to how others who are planning to incarnate in certain areas can share of our learning and perhaps understand some of the challenges and perhaps also choose some of the ways in which they want to interact with each other in that incarnation or interact with the planet or other elements. And a lot of time we are connecting with a greater energy. We are connecting with the supreme energy of love and light. So it is like we are doing all of these things simultaneously, and we do not measure time in the same way as in hours and minutes, but we measure time through, I guess you could say, the amount of information, the amount of knowledge, the amount of experiences we have gained. So our perception, you could say, of age is more a understanding of experience, of depth of experience, breadth of experience. So we could like it to, let's say you read a book, and when you have finished reading the book, you are not too much conscious of how many minutes or hours it took you to read and get into that story and live that story and be that story. But afterwards, you have the knowledge, the experience of the story, and you feel as if it is something that you acquired maybe in a very short space of time. And so it is like with lifetimes. We absorb that knowledge, that experience, and that becomes our way of understanding growth, development, duration, as in how long we have maybe experienced or existed. So it is difficult to describe a different sense of activity like you have in your world, where you know in the morning and in the afternoon and the evening and so on. So we are doing many things simultaneously. And sometimes, to explain and make it more easily understood by people such as yourself, we will only cover one aspect. And we might say, I'm working, to educate new souls in how to, navigate their energy bodies and how to choose from different aspects of health or sickness for an incarnation. But we are not doing this alone. We are doing many things simultaneously. It is a gift of spirit that once you transcend and return to the pure energetic realm, we can say, there is a completely different rules or structure around how you interact with other energies. I'm confusing you, I feel. It is not something I can describe so adequately.
You are doing an amazing job. Thank you. You actually answered one of my other questions, which was, do you experience time differently in the other realms? You answered that. So I come now to my next question, which is, what does your name mean?
He who knows God.
Wow. Okay. Thank you. My next question is, do physical objects have consciousness?
Okay. So, first we must define consciousness. Do they have awareness? Yes. Do they have consciousness, as in consciousness is an extension of awareness? Yes. Do they have the ability for self-reflection? No. So there are many different ways in which the vibration of awareness, of intelligence, one could say, of divine spark, we could say, how it changes from the slowest, most almost dormant form to the higher ones of deep self-reflection and introspection. So they have awareness. They have awareness that is, again, difficult for you to comprehend, because they are vibrating in such a way that their awareness is more what you might call response to sound or response to movement. So this is the awareness they have. Response to psychic, shall we say, touch, maybe also, but not so much. Response to thought, again, not so much. But as you move up the realm of vibration into plant life, into animal life, and so on, so the ability to become aware of other vibrations is enhanced, and how to interpret those vibrations becomes also enhanced, so that there are different expressions of awareness, of feeling also, and yes, and of how one responds to these inputs.
Thank you. Interesting. So I'm going to ask one more question, and then I'll ask if anybody else has a question for you.
Okay.
My next question is, can negative entities enter while a channel is channeling and attach themselves?
Oh, that is a good question. So, one would have to be very careful in how one answers this question, I feel, because one does not want to cause anxiety. But truly, it depends on the strength of the connection In fact, this was something that was being considered by my channel the other day, maybe in anticipation of your question. So we would say it depends on the strength of connection and the capacity for the channel and the guide to completely forge the strongest connection in the deepest way across all levels. And so how we would like to imagine it is if you are blowing into a tube and you have a lot of pressure, so you are not allowing any other air to come in. But let's say you are blowing into the tube and maybe the channel has some faulty valve in the bottom or some slight weakness in his, in the side. So there is a little place where the energy can escape. It is also a small place where maybe if the pressure of the blowing of the guide is not strong enough, another energy with a higher pressure could also introduce themselves. Do you understand? So there is a slight possibility. And normally this is only during the initial stages when both the channel and the guide have not forged a very strong connection. And that is why it is most advised that all such training be done in the presence of gifted teachers who can ensure that energetically there is no fracture that can allow such things to enter.
Yes. Amazing. Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions for Katarina?
One would say also, if the guides, the energy beings with whom the channel is working are of a suitably high frequency, they can also transform and transmute any, shall we say, negative entity that would try to attach it, because they are seeking the light.
Yes.
And we can receive them and transform and transmute that energy also.
Yes.
So it is not always detrimental to the situation.
Okay. Interesting. Maya has a question for you.
Yes,
Okay.
I was talking to a person about it. It was about when we are an experiment, as the information
Can you
came.
speak more loudly, please?
Oh, wait. Is it better now?
A little.
A conversation with a person that they said that we as humankind are an experiment. So that the consciousness, what we would like to call God or all there is, or the great I am, experience itself through us here on this, what we call planet Earth. And that it's our, that it is like an experiment if we, with our awakening and putting love and good into this world, can beat the opposite side who really has not the goodest interest, the best interest in us. So just imagine these who are not having a good interest would press a button and would got a atomic bomb and would like to destroy Earth. Would there, from the behind the veil, from the beautiful realm you are now in, would there be beings to stop that, or would it then be okay, they didn't make it, the good ones, well, experiment is over?
So firstly, not an experiment, okay. But how should we say, this is part of the great unknowing of the divine creator, but in his ultimate gift to express and to grow himself also in divine light, knowledge, experience, and love, he has created these offshoots, you could say, these divine sparks of intelligence that he has given free will. He has given free will so that they may go out and explore and experiment. And from this, he learns and grows and becomes, shall we say, wiser. And maybe someday he might choose to put an end to all of this and just become and go back into a meditative state, we could say. But this is not how it is currently. We are a divine expression and we have been given free will so that he may learn through us and become more all-knowing, more fulfilled also, more fulfilled. So I do not believe it is an experiment. It is a divine expression of creativity, and equally, should, as you say, someone choose to press such a button, there would be planetary observers who will do their best to assist. But no, the divine creator has given free will, given it as a gift of love, you could say, to enable people to experience both ups and downs and how to best return to the light. And he would not put an end to the experiment, as you say. He would learn from it and maybe feel sadness for sure, but he would not terminate the experiment in your terms. No.
Thank you. We have many more questions for you, but we will save them for next time.
Okay.
In closing, could you offer us a short prayer or some words of protection and healing or blessing?
Okay, we would invite you, first of all, now to withdraw inside to your quiet space, perhaps in your heart area or in your mind area. And just connecting now with the light that you sense within, the light of love, the light of the Creator. And allowing that light to fill and expand, touching all aspects of your energetic being and your physical being. Knowing that this light is love, pure love. And as you tune into its frequency, you feel an elevation of energy, of spirit, of love, and you invite that to join and connect with you more profoundly, filling you up with love and light. Knowing that through this light you are connected with all living things. And you share now your love with all living things. You receive also their love. Knowing that together we are one. We are one. One creative expression of divine light in its many forms, but ultimately connected through the source of all that is. And so you remember this connection and you treasure it. You lock it away. Just keep it safe for another day when you need to go inside and reopen this treasure box. Honoring your gift to the world, your place in all of this, the beauty that you share through being yourself, through being an expression of divine light. Acknowledging your gifts, your strengths, your weaknesses, all that makes you who you are, all that shows you how to love, how to forgive, how to support. And we honor each other in this way, just connecting in this way, reminding ourselves we are all one. We all are connected. And the love of the Creator flows through us all and back to us and to Him. So this is not so much a prayer, but a reflection, an exercise of connectivity.
Thank you, Katerina.
And we leave you with that gift, the gift of our love.
Send you our love and gratitude. Thank you. Thank you, Katerina. And thank you, everybody. Thank you, Carl. Let's close with a gratitude. I'm particularly grateful to, well, you all, but I just want to mention Brenda, I think her name is. Yeah, Brenda. Her story was really touching for me about the loss of, and the murder of her mother, and how she was able to forgive. Syra, you weren't here for that, but we had somebody on at the beginning who's a award-winning actress. I know you do some acting as well. That her in the chat there's her website. I urge you to have a look at it. So I'm grateful for that share particularly. It really profoundly moved me, as did all of your segments. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to go around the group and ask you to say a gratitude. Syra, you go next. If you could unmute.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, hi.
Hello. No, it's just because I haven't got my speaker today. It's not working. So what am I grateful for? Being healthy, I guess.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a really good one. Thank you. It's lovely to see you. I hope you're well. You say you're healthy, so you must be. Okay, Chris.
Today I'm grateful for actually making it here today. That's what I'm grateful for.
Thank you, and thank you for sharing all the wonderful, amazing work that you do. I look forward to hearing and learning more about everything that you do. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Carl, thank you so much again for channeling and for being here. What are you grateful for today?
I'm grateful for quiet and solitude, those quiet moments when you can connect within.
As I am getting older, I appreciate that more and more and more. Thank you, Carl. Anna?
I'm feeling really grateful these days to the sun. We've been having this incredibly beautiful weather with deep blue skies, and the sun just feels so nourishing and so beautiful to connect with it. It's medicine. I just want to drink it in, and I'm just so deeply grateful for this weather and to the sun in particular to connect with that energy.
Thank you, Anna. And Maya?
I'm amazingly grateful that I can sleep outside. Every time I go to bed and I look at this palm tree and I can see the stars, and now the moon is coming bigger, and in last night I just opened the eyes and it illuminated the clouds behind. Just to be outside, I just lay every night one time and I say, I can't believe that I can experience this in the here and now. I'm so amazingly grateful for that.
That's really beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And I just want to also say thank you for sharing also your work. I feel like there's so much more there. You feel to me, very expansive in your wisdom, and I feel that there's so much more sharing to happen. And I look forward to that with you all. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Another lovely session. Lovely to see your faces. And I look forward to the next one in 2 weeks. And stay in touch. Be well. Lots of love. And thanks again. All right. Have a good rest of your evening. Bye.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.